So everybody's talking about this Anthony Joshua, Lennox Lewis beef. Now, there's no doubt that Lennox Lewis has been openly critical of Anthony Joshua over the past year or so. And he appears to have been a lot more critical of AJ than he has of Deontay Wilder. And this has led many people, particularly AJ fans, to believe that Lennox Lewis is biased in favor of Wilder and against AJ because he works for PBC. Other people have also contended that they believe Lewis, at least up until AJ lost to Ruiz, they felt that Lewis was maybe concerned that AJ could eclipse his achievements. And also people contend that Lewis is maybe jealous of AJ because of the fact that AJ has been embraced by the British public to a far greater extent than Lennox Lewis ever was when he was fighting. Now, I'm not endorsing any of these opinions. I'm just telling you what people are saying out there in the world. In fact, I did a video about Lennox Lewis's criticism of AJ several months ago. And if you guys remember, in that video, I said that I'm not dismissing the possibility that Lewis is biased against AJ or, jealous or whatever. I'm not dismissing that possibility, but I suspect that isn't the case. And I suspect that all it is the fact that Lennox Lewis, on a personal level, is closer to Deontay Wilder than he is to Anthony Joshua. And that may be the reason that he's coming out in favor of Deontay Wilder during the AJ Wilder rivalry, because he's only hearing Wilder's side of the story. He's not hearing AJ's side of the story because him and AJ don't really talk. Yeah? Now, for a little bit of backstory on this AJ Lennox Lewis beef, have a watch of this video right here, uploaded on IFL TV earlier on today. Spencer Ferran is giving some inside information on the beef because he knows both men. In fact, during this interview, Spencer Ferran actually FaceTimes Lennox Lewis. So he says that when Anthony Joshua won his gold medal and he was shopping around for a professional deal, one of the people who was interested in working with Anthony Joshua in some capacity was Lennox Lewis. And he says that Anthony Joshua went over to Jamaica, spent some time with Lewis and Lewis's family. But then when AJ returned to England, he signed with Eddie Hearn, and Lewis never heard from AJ again, basically, or he just lost touch with AJ. And he says that Lewis kind of felt slighted by that AJ didn't retain his services, in some capacity. Then he says, when Anthony Joshua fought Vladimir Klitschko, after the fight, Lewis tried to go to Anthony Joshua's dressing room to congratulate him, and he was prevented from entering the dressing room. And he says, again, Lennox Lewis felt slighted by not being allowed in AJ's dressing room. And from then on, Lewis felt like, okay, to hell with Anthony Joshua. Now, I'm sure there's more to the story than that. I'm sure AJ has a lot to say about why he didn't let Lennox Lewis in the dressing room, why he lost touch with Lennox Lewis, etc., etc. I'm not here to tell you who is in the right and who is in the wrong. And, I'm not an insider at all, okay, on the Lennox Lewis Anthony Joshua beef. So I can't tell you where it started and, who's in the right and who's in the wrong. But all I can tell you is that this is not the first time that Lennox Lewis has been in a beef with one of the top British heavyweights. Any of you remember this? The headline reads, Lennox Lewis labels Tyson Fury a loudmouth who wouldn't dare challenge him face to face. This was an article from 2013. Lewis and Tyson Fury were beefing for quite some time. In fact, it was such a feud that John Fury got involved and he offered to have a fight with Lennox Lewis, an all-in battle royale, as John Fury calls it. And some of the comments from Tyson Fury about Lennox Lewis were very similar to what Anthony Joshua's just said about him. If you see here, Tyson Fury said, Lennox Lewis has the cheek to talk about chins when he was proper chinny. He lost to Journeyman. Got knocked out too. What a bitch. I have no respect for him at all. So yeah, And, they went back and forth for several years. They eventually squashed their beef, and now they're apparently on good terms. All right. But that is an example of Lennox Lewis, a beef that he had with Tyson Fury several years ago. I seem to remember him picking David Haye to beat Tyson Fury. And then later on, he picked Vladimir Klitschko to beat Tyson Fury. And I think that might have been the source to the beef, or certainly something that contributed to the beef, because Tyson Fury and his dad, John, felt insulted that Lennox Lewis was picking against, Team Fury both times. So yeah, there is a history there of Lennox Lewis beefing with the younger British heavyweights. I've seen some people say, what happened to stay humble, Anthony Joshua? What happened to all that, the stay humble business? Come on, people. We all knew that was fake. At least most of us knew it was fake. I mean, I've met some, girls over the past couple years, and they say, oh, I love Anthony Joshua. He's so humble. He still lives at home with his mom in a flat, even though he's a millionaire. Like, how naive can you possibly be? Anthony Joshua has never been humble. You can't be humble in your own mind. You might be able to project some kind of humble persona for the cameras, for the public. You might be a nice person, when you're dealing with people in your day-to-day life, but you have to have an ego when it comes to fighting. You have to. If you don't have an ego when it comes to fighting, you're not going to get anywhere in the fight game. So Anthony Joshua coming out swinging, saying the things that he's been saying about Lennox Lewis, about Tyson Fury, about Andy Ruiz, that's the fighter in him. That's the egotistical fighter in him. You have to be egotistical, at least in your capacity as a fighter, to be successful. Yeah, the stay humble business, come on, man. And anybody with any kind of common sense knew that that's all nonsense and that that's not the real AJ. It is a fake public persona. Of course it is. So now that the real AJ is coming out, the real fighter, a fire has been lit underneath him amid all the criticism and obviously the humiliation of the Andy Ruiz defeat. Isn't this what we want to see? The vicious AJ, the guy who is speaking from the heart, the guy who does let the mask slip and dispenses with all the politically correct nonsense. Isn't that what we want from time to time? Look, I'm not dissing AJ in terms of how he's been able to make his money and get all these endorsements and all this kind of business. Okay, I'm not dissing it. I'm also not saying that it's the best. Look, it's up to every individual to make their decision in terms of whether they want to go down the PC path or whether they want to speak from the heart and take the consequences that come with it. It's every individual's decision. But AJ decided to go down the PC road and reap the benefits of going down that road, which includes all the sponsorships and the attention from the media and, the sports personality and all that kind of business. That's what you get from, going that way. But I think that he maybe got a little too Hollywood. He got a little too caught up in the celebrity mindset, which I don't think he was necessarily a diva, but I think he maybe got a bit soft. I know that sounds strange to say that about a boxer, but maybe he was getting too much praise from the people around him and in his inner circle and from the mainstream media and all that kind of stuff. And maybe that praise, adulation got to him and made him a bit soft. And that now he's receiving a lot more criticism than he was receiving before, even from the mainstream media, people doubting him. Andy Ruiz coming at him and saying a bunch of things, Lennox Lewis saying a bunch of things. He's kind of snapping now. And it says here in the video title, Joshua is stressed. Yeah, he is stressed. Maybe he needs to be stressed. Maybe, there are different kinds of stress, but maybe he needs to feel like he's at war. Maybe that's what he needs to bring the best out of him, because we didn't see the best of him in the Andy Ruiz first fight. Maybe we'll see the best of him in the second fight. Will it be good enough? I don't know. Maybe it won't be. Hopefully we'll find out if the fight takes place. But yeah. Also, some of you may remember that Deontay Wilder has also had his feuds with older generation heavyweights. In fact, not just older generation heavyweights, Deontay Wilder also had a feud with Floyd Mayweather. He basically accused both of them, Mayweather and Mike Tyson, of being jealous of him. Deontay Wilder said that he would kick the hell out of the 1986 version of Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson responded to Deontay Wilder's claims by saying, "I don't think so." And this was back when Deontay Wilder didn't have much support in the United States. And I know some people are going to say he don't have much support now, but he's got a hell of a lot more support now than he did then. But back then when he was making these comments, the majority of American boxing fans seemed to be against Wilder and in favor of Mike Tyson. Because I remember when I did videos about this, they were turning up in the comment section saying Wilder's an idiot. Mike Tyson would knock Wilder out in one round. That's what the majority of Americans were saying at the time. But since Wilder beat Ortiz and he got big off the back of Anthony Joshua's name, now he's got all these new fans who've, popped up, who came up out the woodwork from nowhere. And these people are all saying that Wilder would destroy Mike Tyson. So it's a very big change. But anyway, Wilder was beefing with Tyson. In fact, I don't think Wilder and Tyson are on good terms even now. There still doesn't seem to be any resolution to that beef. And as I already mentioned, in fact, in this video here, Deontay Wilder was talking about how Mike Tyson and former champions are being two-faced and how they're hating on him. And in this video here, he was talking about Floyd Mayweather being jealous and being a hater. So, and I think this was to do with Mayweather saying that he thought Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder. I think it was something to do with that. But they've had other issues, Wilder and Mayweather. I don't think this was the first time they've clashed. So look, I know some people don't like when the younger guys are clashing with the legends of the sport, but it's inevitable. Even though Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis are retired, in their minds, in their own minds, they're still warriors. Do you understand what I'm saying? They still dream about when they were young and how they would do against the current crop of heavyweights. They might not talk about it, but trust me, it never leaves you as a fighter. You always think about how would I do against it. That's what makes a fighter. You always, your ego does get carried away and starts thinking, how would I do against this guy? How would I do against that? Maybe I could, beat this one or that one. So it's never going to leave Lewis. It's never going to leave Tyson. And inevitably it will lead to clashes with the younger guys, because the younger guys feel like, the older guys shouldn't be as critical. They start looking at the older guys' resume and say, hey, you lost this fight, you lost that fight. I wouldn't have lost to those opponents. So on and on it goes. It's just boxing at the end of the day, people. It's just entertainment. I wouldn't take it too much to heart. These guys are all fighters. They're warriors. They're going to bump heads from time to time. But for the most part, when all these guys are retired, they're probably going to be cool with each other. Some people won't. I mean, Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe have still got beef even now. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier hated Muhammad Ali right up until his death. Muhammad Ali, there was no beef between him and Frazier, but Frazier, there was still animosity towards Ali right up until the end. But Ali and Foreman, they squashed that beef long time. Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis, all squashed. Tyson and Holyfield, squashed. I mean, even in more recent times, David Haye and Derek Chisora. Who would have imagined that those two would be working together? They had a big time beef. So yeah, I wouldn't take any of this too much to heart, people. It is what it is. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.